Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter, and our guest today for Smart Business Moves is Sara Thompson. Hey, Sara, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you.
We're
Yay.
just talking about celebrating our age, and we're all doing it in different ways. I didn't shave today. Sarah's kind of letting her hair do a natural thing, and Liz put on a shirt today.
No, Botox. Botox.
Oh, that too. Yes. Okay.
Tom.
Who knew? You look so young. Who knew?
There you go. All right. So, Tom, before we went live, you said there was some breaking CDC news, and I said, don't read it. Read it live. So tell us what it is.
It looks like the CDC, and this just popped, so I haven't even had a chance to read it, but it's recommending a shorter COVID isolation period. They're saying that, I'm sorry?
Finally.
Yeah. Say that the evidence is growing that people with coronavirus are most infectious in the 2 days before and the 3 days after symptoms develop. And they're shortening the let's see, health officials are cutting the isolation restrictions for Americans who catch coronavirus from 10 to 5 days, and are similarly shortening the time that close contacts need to be quarantined.
Nice. Shortening that to what? The close contacts.
It's not saying quickly. I guess it used to be. Did it be last week? The agency loosened rules that previously called on health care workers to stay out of work for 10 days if they test positive. The new recommendation said workers could go back to work after 7 days if they test negative and don't have symptoms. And the agency said isolation's time could be cut to 5 days or even fewer if there are severe staffing shortages. So,
That's
wow. Wow, that's crazy right there.
So what isn't clear, though, do you have to test negative after 5 days to be out of isolation? I presume
that
so.
part I think is going to be a problem because I actually just took a COVID test yesterday and I'm still positive.
Really?
Yep. And that's been what? A month?
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
But which test?
It was the Binax.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I need to go get the PCR or something done. Maybe that would be the way.
Well, that's good news for staff. And
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, that would be wonderful. Except I didn't like the thing that they said in there. It's to help with staffing. So it makes it sound like, oh,
Sure.
I'm sorry that we're going to have to make y'all sick, but it's a staffing need.
Well, the airlines have been pushing for this because they've been canceling flights right and left.
Oh my gosh, did you see Christmas Day?
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy. That was crazy. So I was feeling so sad for those poor people on Christmas. I mean, oh gosh, of all days, it's such a bummer to get, your flight bumped, canceled any day of the year. But on Christmas, oh, I felt bad for people. So today we're talking in one of our groups about this idea, a little tongue in cheek, but what do you think? So somebody says, don't come clean my house today because I have COVID. And we respond with, oh, no problem. We have an employee that has COVID, but she doesn't have any symptoms.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think that would go over?
Yeah. Well, if you have COVID, let us know and we'll match you up with an infected cleaning technician.
Asymptomatic. Come on. I did say that we're going to send somebody without symptoms. Thanks, Elena. I have my moments. Yeah. Sometimes it gets me into trouble, just saying, more than once.
So the whole Binax thing, and we've been having a lot of fun with those around our house over the last week or so. And, I was expecting like two bright colored lines and started reading the instructions a little more carefully. And even when there's a little faint line, they say you're positive. Does it
Oh,
matter? Like if the line is faint, does that mean maybe you're not as infectious as you would be if it were?
It's like a pregnancy test, Tom. If it's there,
Yeah.
it's there.
oh.
Okay.
I do know that when mine, I took 3 of them because I wanted to take different lots. And the line, the second line popped up before the first line, and it was really dark, really fast, like within, I don't know, 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very quick and very dark. I don't know what that meant, but I was like, well, I don't think there's doubt anyway.
Did you feel bad?
I remember I was sick.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I was really sick.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had a clue, but not the first time. First time I had it, I was sure I had a cold.
I feel left out.
Yeah. You never had it at all, Sarah?
Nope.
Good for you. Good for
But
you.
I do have about 30 tests, over-the-counter tests, and I hoard them a little bit and pass them out to my offices, and we use them, just to get office staff that are questioning it back in as soon as they can. So
Yeah, that is really good. I have loved having those over-the-counter tests. They've been really, really helpful.
yep,
they're really hard to find right now.
yeah, you got to Amazon them when you can. That's my method.
Yeah, that's what I do too. Just keep getting them sent. They keep coming. I had them sent from Walmart last time, and I got them all. It took me a little bit longer.
Walmart, you can get a deal if you can find them. They're like $14 for the Binax for
Right.
the 2 kit, and I've
Mhm.
never found them that cheap anywhere else.
Yeah.
And every morning we check the website, but you've got to, because they're only selling them in the stores, can't get them online, but you got to get there early because they go fast.
Yeah. It's that time, I guess, with the new, what is it, Omicron?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's spreading so fast. Everybody's getting it. Tom, I was hoping that you would be able to give us some information about Omicron, because it's all over the place. All different stuff, and I don't know if it's just being politicized. What I heard last was the people that are getting it are mainly vaccinated people. So see, we told you not to get vaccines, because now look what's happening. Y'all
Well, there you go, Liz. You just gave us a sound bite.
False news.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, is that like not?
I think they just kicked us off of Facebook now.
All right, so that is not the going thing, huh? That's not what the data says.
No, but it hasn't. They say it has an incubation period of like 2 to 3 days, and it's growing really fast. And Sarah, I mean, the good news is if you haven't had COVID but kind of feel left out, hang in there. It's
Yeah.
the odds are looking good.
Well, I got my booster. I got my booster on personally, so maybe I'll get to the 4th shot by the time I actually get COVID.
Oh
We'll see.
gosh.
Yeah. I'm wondering when they're going to start offering those. I mean, I think that you can just kind of like go anywhere now and get a 4th shot if you want to. And
Oh, can you?
I mean, I don't have a card or whatever. I mean, they're just handing shots out like candy now.
Yeah, they're happy to be boosterizing people for sure.
Yeah. And they're thinking, I read something that maybe when you're 4 months out from your booster, it might be a good time to be thinking about a 4th shot if you want to go that way. Thinking
How long has the booster even been out? Hasn't been out that long, right? 6 weeks? 8 weeks?
No, it's been longer than that. I got one in early October, right after foundations.
Right.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. Yeah. So it has been a while. All right. Well, let's get on track with our topic for the day, because here we are wasting time, and we've only got 5 days, or 4, I guess, 4 more days this year. We can't be wasting any of these hours.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So Sarah, tell us a little bit about how you go about annual planning, or what you do at the end of the year, what you think about, etc.
Yeah. Well, and this is when you had your budgeting month, I kind of flow that into goal setting. And so this is when we're getting to the end of the year, we have all of our numbers pretty much collected. We know where we're going to be, and we can start setting goals for next year. But I like to think about, we've got budgeting money that everyone knows about that, thinks about that. I like to think about also how I'm going to budget my time based on my goals and how I'm going to budget my resources. And so, even thinking about staff, where we want to budget staff time and resources. So I like to package all those up when I think about goals.
Yeah, tell us more about that, because nobody this month has talked about budgeting time at all or resources. The only thing we've heard is budgeting money so far. I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, so for me, we've got business stuff and then we've got personal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me as an owner, I'm thinking about where I want to put my time, prioritizing my goals. So the other day I listed out, what are my personal goals, what's most important, and then where have I been spending my time. So if I put, for example, family up here and work down here as number 2 or 3, is that really how I'm spending my time? And just kind of mentally thinking through how I've been spending it, lining that up to my priorities or what I want to be my priorities, and then making a plan to kind of reshift and refocus that going into the next year.
All right. So you think to yourself, okay, what's most important to me going into 2022 is my family first, my business second, and maybe my personal life third, just as an example. And then you look at what you've been doing, you're like, hey, if I'm saying family is first, why am I budgeting 9 hours a day to work and 1 hour a week to family?
Right.
And so you just sort of, not saying that you make it even, like business, like family's first, so the majority of my time is going to family, but you're maybe putting that into your calendar first and making sure that it's there. Okay. Awesome. And have you been doing this for a long time, Sarah? Is this like a new thing you're doing, or?
The time as I've grown in the business, I've had more flexible time. And so I think to me, it's kind of morphed a little bit. So it's not as clear cut. What I'm spending my time on is not, going into the office from a certain time period to a certain time period. So my time is flexible, but it is also, I can mismanage it if I'm not careful because it's not as clearly defined. So I think it's more important for me to really scrutinize that, how I'm spending that time and what I want to do. So I don't, find myself a year later and I've put more time into work, but I didn't have to, whereas I could have developed myself in a different spot and I should have spent the time doing that. So I've always budgeted, I've always planned goals for the business, but I'm not as consistent with myself.
So also what I'm hearing, Sarah, is you're kind of equating budgeting to managing. So you're budgeting it, you're saying that this is what I want to spend, and then you're also managing it, making sure that that's actually happening. So I don't think that a lot of our viewers today are in your same boat where they have all this free time and I like this because most of the time I think people have this idea that, hey, when I get to Sarah's level, awesome, I won't have to budget and manage my time. I won't have to because I could just like flow through my life easily. But what you're saying is you're actually doing it more.
Yeah, I mean, you could flow through your life easily if you don't want to, have a business in 3 or 4 years, or if you don't want, if you just want to let something go like that. But I think you just have to be more strategic about it.
My favorite word.
You've got more flexibility. I mean, I can remember back, it was a time when budgeting my time was a matter of survival. I've got like this really long list of things I've got to get done. And if I don't, I'm not making payroll and not putting food on the table. When you get past that, then I can do whatever I want to do. But if you're not doing it with some type of intent and purpose, you're just kind of wasting your time. And that's scary when you really think about it, you know?
Yeah. And that's how, I mean, don't you guys think that that's how people get to the end of the year and they don't know, like, why aren't they where they wanted to go? It's because you actually never set out a plan to go where you wanted to go. You just wanted to be really comfortable. So, yeah, you just wanted to do what you wanted to do. And when you do what you want to do, whenever you want to do it, this is where you get kind of the same place you are right now.
But you don't want to get to that point and then do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I think, Sarah, that's what you're saying, is that now that you have the capability to do that, you can be more flexible, but it's not that you are less strategic. You're now just making sure that you do it because you don't want to find yourself in a worse place. So it's the same thing. It's just for a different reason. Mm-hmm. Maybe before it was like, to stay alive, I needed to do it. And now your thinking is more to enjoy your life, to get to your next stage, to those types of things. Yeah.
Yeah. It's to keep things going in the right direction. That's what I think about. So I don't have to be at the office to unlock the door at a certain time. It's easier to plan my time when you have something like that to do. But I need to make sure that we're heading in the right direction, that we're growing, that we're not overgrowing, that we're not becoming complacent. Because to line up with one of my goals is to continue to grow. And so I think if you don't plan that, if you don't budget your time and think about how it mixes or how it matches up to your priorities, you're gonna float away. That's the way I think about it.
Your time will just float away and you won't even know. Mm-hmm. It'll be like, Tom, it'll be like our client that just didn't know where $100,000 went. It was like, it was just gone.
And I'm kind of feeling guilty a little bit. And this is like, what you're describing here is too often, at least my Saturday MO. It's like, I don't have any commitments on Saturday. I can work on whatever I want to work on. And, maybe I'll sleep in a little bit. Maybe I'll enjoy an extra cup of coffee, and before I know it, I've just kind of blown the day, and maybe I got a couple of things done, but I really didn't use it as wisely as I could have. And I don't know. I've got to. You've got me thinking, Sarah. Maybe
I gotta. But Sarah, you have some days where you don't have a plan, right? You have some days where it's like free flowing.
But if your priority, and that's the thing, Tom. Maybe that lines up perfectly with your priorities. So if your priority is health, and you spend one day a week sleeping in and relaxing, and we've just recently talked about building in margin to your calendar. Here, I thought I'd share this book that I'm reading with my managers. Just, a nice workbook.
2.0.
Yeah, 2.0. So reading that with my managers, which has been a challenge to build in that time, but that's something important that isn't urgent. But, that brought up a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about building in the margin. And so that's also part of that scheduling and budgeting your time. So Tom, you're fine.
Okay.
You need that.
Saturday.
Thank you.
Now, what if he said it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Sarah? Would you still be
sometimes going into Monday? Yeah.
It depends on if that's what he's got and it lines up with his priorities and he's doing it intentionally. I think that's the key. Just like when you're budgeting your money, I mean, you can make changes, but not everyone's budget is going to look the same. Not everybody's goals and values as far as how they're going to spend and grow is going to be the same. So,
and actually, they shouldn't be the same.
No.
They shouldn't be. We were talking about that today also, because we used to talk in groups about goals, and then we started using the what's it called? If I can remember now, the platform, the 4DX, 4 Disciplines of Execution platform.
4DX.
Right? 4DX operational platform. and they talk in terms of wigs and leads and lags and stuff. And so I switched everything over for all the groups so that we're all talking about wigs. And I had the question today, because we did that a couple of years ago. I had a question today from somebody. Why do we call them wigs? Why not just call them goals? Isn't it easier? And my response was, no, it's not easier, because the WIG, what that stands for is wildly important goal. And that's what it needs to be, not just a goal that you throw out there, but a wildly important goal to you, not something that's wildly important to me, not something that somebody else says, hey, you need to be this size company, or you need to get here. But what do you care about? What do you love? What are you passionate about? It needs to be important to you. And some people are wildly important about revenue, right? That's a goal. That they care about revenue. And some people, like Tom, we talk a lot, really big deal, profit. What's the profit in the company? And then there's other people that are like, I just can't. None of those things don't motivate me at all. Okay, to your point, Sarah, needs to be important to you, right? Not to somebody else. Tom, what you got in your ear there? Since you're sharing your ear, I was just curious what's in there.
It's the thing that I use so I can hear what you guys are saying without having my speakers on and having lousy feedback that none of us like.
Yeah. Are you getting bad feedback from me? Because my thing broke.
You're okay.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
As long as some of us are disciplined in doing it this way, we're good.
Good. I'm glad it's you, Tom.
I got your back, Liz.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So, Sarah, can you talk to us about this? So I'm pretty sure that most of the people on this that are watching Smart Business Moves today or in reruns know about you, know at least some basics about you. They know that you have been in business a while. You're in Iowa. You have a very small market. You're considered very successful. You're a very strategic person. You're a smart thinker. So can you tell us about how often have you been following this? Would you consider like your goal setting, your planning, along time and money and all the other things that you do, would you consider them part of your success or something that you learned to do because you were successful?
I would consider it part of our success in business because we've done it consistently every year. Goal setting, money, or goal setting how we're going to be spending with our budget, or goal setting how we're going to be where we want to go, basically. And so we focus on those goals, we get them set, we focus on those goals, and then we track how we're doing with the intention of doing better every week. And we track it every week. So we talk about it every week as an office all together. We've got 2 offices now. We just do a big group Zoom meeting because we're 30 minutes away. We share a lot of resources. We help each other, and we have shared admin between the 2 offices. So we all meet together and we're focused on what did we do last week, and then are we going in the right direction? And so everybody brings something to the table. Who works in the office, they'll bring numbers to the table that they're responsible for. And I think that's been critical in keeping us. We are a, what is our revenue? What is our technician full-time equivalent count? We want to see where we're going, and we're usually pushing to go forward.
You've always been very data-driven. Very, very. Since I've known you, you've been very data-driven and on a weekly basis.
Yeah, we built that in. And, sometimes talking about budgeting your time, that can be an annoyance. Say I'm gone. Sometimes I'll get well, are we meeting? Like, yes, you're meeting, you're doing it. We just really have to protect that hour on every Monday, and bring us together and get our numbers put in. And it's super important.
Can you tell us about that process a little bit? Because I know there's a lot of discussion. Everybody knows that you need to know your numbers and, monitor your KPIs, but I don't think everybody has the same understanding of what that really means. And, a lot of discussion about what do you measure, not as much discussion about, well, what do you do with the stuff that you're measuring? So you're looking at revenue and full-time equivalent, and what does that process look like? Are you comparing it to a budget? And what happens if the numbers aren't what you want them to be?
Yeah, that was going to be my question because people talk about that a lot.
Yeah. Well, the number one, the main goal for me is to keep everybody pointed in the same direction. So, we went through COVID. We in Ames, we didn't hit our goal last year, and we didn't hit our goal this year. So we get a little sad. We try to figure out what we can do. We might even lower the goal. But the point of coming together and talking about the KPIs, whatever KPI is important to your company, is that we're all looking at it and we're remembering, how many clients quit, how many clients have we added, what's our quality score, what's our client response score, is it going up and down? And then we can talk about it. It's going down. What does that mean? That's an alarm. That's something to look at. And then we can assign duties from there. Okay, this is what we're seeing. Schedulers, you're going to call up the clients who aren't responding. And so it helps us develop, our action out of that, watching those numbers and talking about that together. And we all can see the interconnectedness. So we've had, we haven't had our same staff for 15 years, but anybody we get into our office, they just kind of soak in the fact that they're responsible for these numbers, and they affect their bonus. They affect what we celebrate. They affect kind of our sense of pride. So it's not just, that we care about those numbers. It's what effect it has on the company and directing our next move.
But you're very much creating this team environment. We are doing this together. Mm-hmm. Yes, everybody's going to benefit, but we're all part of this. It's not, you can't do it on your own. I can't do it on my own. She can't do it on her own. We all are part of it. Yeah. And that's why you have them bring the numbers. I love that. Yeah, you could get the numbers yourself and have them all in a spreadsheet and have everybody come and then talk about the numbers. But I love that you make them get the numbers. You bring the numbers to the meeting. You tell us about your numbers. I've been preaching on that for 10 years. I love that so much.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the number for a minute, though. They come forward and say our full-time equivalent is 52. Is there something to compare that with? Is that good or is that bad? Is there a goal that they're sharing?
Well? So I'm just real world example. We used to use a piece of paper. We use Airtable now to track all that. So we have it set up in Airtable. Everyone enters the number. So if we're entering, what the full-time equivalent is, that's being compared against a column that shows what our goal for a full-time equivalent is. Okay. So we can see, we're down, 6 people from our goal. And those goals, the manager will adjust those goals up as needed. But yes, we're comparing them against what we've set as our goal. And that's consistent with all the numbers. We're looking at a weekly change.
So just a quick role play a little bit. I show up and said, okay, well, the goal is 52 and we've got 45. Mm-hmm. Okay, I just reported my number and I'm looking at a Zoom call, waiting for somebody to throw something at me. I mean, what happens at that point?
So along with that number, they would also be reporting how many interviews have we had, how many people showed up. to the first interview, how many people showed up to the one-on-one interview, how many people they hired out of that. So that's the full-time equivalent, is the result of these different pieces that lead up to it. And so in that reporting, then we would have a discussion, do we need to bump up the Indeed ad spend? What else can we do? What else do you have to suggest? And that's an open discussion.
Okay.
And
So if I come in with a number, if I miss my number, I better have a pretty good story that, hey, I've been working really hard this week doing all these things to get that number to where we want it to be.
Yeah.
More than a story. You better have some numbers that are defining your story. Don't just come in with a story. Show me the numbers that tell me the story. I
ran these ads. I got, these candidates. I set up
Mhm.
these interviews. Half of them didn't show up, but I was still able to speak to this many.
So we're going to talk about, do we need to change the ad? Why is the ad spend low? Have we tried a new ad? And so that's where we're going to troubleshoot it. And we usually talk about most of that together. And we talk about it often enough that we know what some of those key triggers are. Diana copied our meeting. Yeah. And I'm not a punitive person. Nothing terrible happens in the meeting. If somebody has a bad number, we can usually all see the collective reason. And so whether it's how many jobs we were able to schedule, we're also going to have a number that's going to show us how many people were off that week. So how many days of production did we lose, essentially? So it's all just a big puzzle that fits together, and they can see that.
Sarah, this is basically, you hear, if you listen in, Sarah, you'll hear, not you, Sarah, Sarah Mitchell, you'll hear that she's talking about Monday check-in, right? This is just Monday check-in that she's talking about. And if we're not getting where we wanted to go, the conversation is not, what did we do wrong last week? That's a very small portion of the conversation. It's like the numbers tell that story. The bigger part of the conversation is, what are we doing this week to be able to get to where we need to go? Last week is over. Can't do a whole lot about that. But what are we going to do next week, this week, to get to where we want to go? I think a lot of people do want to hear about your bonus program, Sarah, how that worked. But before we get that, real quick, one of the things that we hear from people all the time that we're coaching is they'll say it like this: I can't set goals. And besides, what does it matter? If I do anyway and I don't meet my goal, it's just depressing. So I just don't want to. So talk to us about how not meeting goals can be something that can move you forward faster. That it's not something that stops you and you just like, oh, okay, we didn't meet our goals, forget it. Let's just go willy-nilly now. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, number one, I would, and I can't quote it, but I would argue that it's false. If you have a goal that you're focusing on, you're way more likely to meet it. You're way more likely to be going the right direction than if you don't have a goal.
Yeah.
And I think that's been proven. So we've had times when it's been depressing when we haven't met our goal, and then we're all sitting around brainstorming, what needs to change? What can we do differently? How can we push forward? And is our goal realistic? So that's a fair question sometimes. And I think as an owner or a manager, whoever's setting those goals, you have to look at the environment. Did you set those goals realistically, which is part of the what I'm doing now, the beginning of January, end of December. I want to set a realistic goal. And if I need to shift it, if everybody is pulling their weight, if everybody's doing their best, if my goal is super high or something happens, COVID happens, obviously, we're going to scrap that goal and we're going to move on to something that's more realistic. So when we set goals, we want our revenue goal, we want to hit it about half the time.
Nice.
If and doing our best, we want to be able to hit it half the time. If we're hitting it more than half the time, then we reassess it and we raise the goal.
All right, Sarah Mitchell, did you hear that? She's not expecting to hit the goal every time.
No.
She wouldn't consider that that was a good goal. Then that was too easy. She needs to have, you need to stretch it a little bit more. You want to be meeting that goal about 50% of the time. That's the same thing like in sales. If you're getting every sale, your prices are too low. So it's the same exact idea. It's the same psychology that you need to not meet that goal every single month. So for those, what do you say to those people that are like, I can't handle it, but I can't handle it?
They don't say that.
I know. Okay, so Sarah, here's what Sarah Mitchell, here's what Sarah is saying is, yes, they get sad. You heard her. She said it now twice. She said earlier in the show, she said that they get a little sad. And then again, just now, she said, yeah, they get sad. But you heard what she said really quickly, right on top of that. She never says we get sad, period. We get sad, comma, but then we start brainstorming and we start figuring out what we're going to do next. And that is a process that binds the people even closer together. So it makes people even stronger to have a little bit of a challenge with the goal. They try harder, they work harder, they think more. Everybody puts in their input and they create a stronger bond. So don't forget that piece. All right. So Tom, I really wanted to talk about not meeting goals because I know that a lot of people really, really struggle with not meeting.
It is. And, if you set your goals too high and you consistently don't meet your goals, then you kind of develop a culture of, okay, another goal, great, but it doesn't really matter because we're not going to meet it. We never do. So,
but that's one of the beautiful things about checking in weekly and being able to modify those goals. You have lots of opportunities to modify the goal. It's not set that goal at the beginning of the year, January 1st, there's our goal for the whole year. And if we don't, just keep working toward it. If we don't get it, oh, well, keep modifying. We have hit on that idea a lot this month, but I know people still struggle with that. So I like, Sarah, your methodology for checking in weekly and knowing that that's your job to make sure that it's relevant. And are we meeting it 50% of the time? You've got a data point to look at to see how you're doing.
And I think it's important to set your expectation early. And sometimes it's harder as the longer you're in business, and then you get new office staff and somebody comes in, you need to keep reminding them. That's my job. I'm going to look at this every quarter and reassess. So you've got to kind of set that expectation that, yay, we're meeting our goal. Yes, it will get more challenging. It's not a bad thing. It's not a punitive thing if you raise the goal. And I think that's important to explain. And then, so quarterly, and I'm going to admit something here. In one of our offices, I did not change the goal for about 6 months, and they were meeting their goals. They were rocking it. But as a business owner, I should have been monitoring that more closely, and I should have raised the goal a little bit higher. And so that's your job. You just need to be consistent, and you need to do
you think
part.
there's a psychology that can develop? It's like, well, we're hitting our goal. We don't want to go too much over it because then we'll just it'll be harder to hit next quarter.
I've not found that in the people and that I've had. And I think it's helpful that, I don't know, I just think that we've managed to be very collective in our approach, and everybody wants to do better. So if somebody wasn't hitting their goal enough, other people would still be pushing them. Other people would still be, Daniel would want to be hiring, even more hiring, you want to fill the jobs. And so it's almost impossible to just try to skate.
Well, and you heard what she said, Tom. It's setting that expectation early. So she's setting it early and consistently. She keeps setting that expectation. So, and she also said that she's confessing something. You don't confess good things, you confess bad things. So she's saying, I should have done it the second quarter. First quarter, when they met all their
Sure.
goals, she should have raised the goal. She didn't. But she recognized it, that she should have. And, I think that again goes back to those expectations. If you don't raise it, now the third quarter is going to be harder. Now you raised it. Now it almost can feel unfair because you were making it every time. But if you just do it the way she said in the beginning, set the expectation. We expect to hit it 50% of the time. And that's, if you're getting it every time, that's not good. I am raising the goal. It will happen.
And I think that's just as important to lower your goals as well and explain why when it's merited. So we can have a very open communication with our office staff collectively. Why isn't this being met? If it's not falling on a person's shoulder, if it's not a clear failure in one specific department, more of an overall, if it's a staffing, if it's bringing people in and we're spending all we can spend and that's the problem, then that's going to affect our revenue goal. Or if it's that we had to fire some clients, that's going to affect our revenue goal. But that's a collective decision we make out loud. And you want to be fair too. You want to make sure you're being open.
Well, and going up and down shows, that's that transparency. For people, it builds trust. They're able to see, okay, so I can trust this process, even if I see they're actually going in my favor too.
And it sounds like the process really is the magic behind all of this. The goal is what the goal is. It needs to be, perceived to be attainable. Sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't. But regardless, you're going to make more progress and you're going to get better results by having the process and having a goal than what you would if you just kind of say, okay, just do the best we can every week.
Right.
All right. So now everybody wants to hear about the bonuses. Sara, go ahead and talk to us, if you would, about how you go about that.
Well, so we have two offices, so we have two separate goals, and we make it a revenue number because everything is going to flow into that revenue number. So that's going to be the tell. And so we bonus on, let's see if I can get this in a succinct way. We bonus on we have a goal. Anything above that goal, we take and we bonus our office staff up to a certain percentage. So what I do is I look at my profit percentage, say it's 15, and then I take 15% and I divvy that out to our different office staff. So the sales, the manager might be higher, but we also have a bonus for kind of down to the bookkeeper because they're dealing with clients and communicating with clients. And so everybody gets a little percentage.
Of the 15.
So that's a percentage of the profit.
Yes.
So how do you determine, Sara, what percentage people get? Is it whoever's most closely tied, whoever's been in the business the longest? How do you do that?
I mean, basically it's sales manager, marketing and scheduling. If we do a field staff in that particular office, and then bookkeeper. So I take 15% and I just spread it out over the amount of people we have.
So if you have 5 people, everybody gets 3%? Okay.
No, we weight it heavier. Sorry. So we're weighting it heavier, Liz, on the
order. So first is sales and then manager. I got you. Okay.
Yeah. And the numbers are going to change based, like and that's also a stop. If my profit goes down below 10%, we're going to stop and have another conversation.
Right.
So it's almost like a percentage of the profits over a certain threshold. So if 10% is your floor, if you don't get 10%, you get nothing. But if you get 15%, then we're going to share some of that 5%.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when we went in Ames and we lost more clients, you know, if we're sharing 5%, we'll just share a little one, you know, we'll divvy out 5%. But that's the number that I'm watching in the background and need to pay attention to. And I use that to make my adjustments as well.
And how often do you do bonuses? Sarah's asking. Is it quarterly?
It's a weekly number, so they know what they're getting immediately, and then we pay it out once a month.
Okay, so it's a monthly bonus payout, Sarah.
Wow. Okay.
But they're seeing it every week,
so they know they're getting it, right? And that actually is a really important piece of it, knowing what you're getting. You see so there is a huge amount of information about what incentivizes people and what doesn't, and what demotivates them also. And one of the pieces to make bonuses work is that people need to see that their direct activities, what the result is, what is the lagged measure of their direct activities. Otherwise, it won't work. And so that weekly being able to see, okay, I did this and this is what I'm getting, even if it doesn't pay out, is huge. That makes a huge difference right there. And that weekly meeting is a great place to be able to see that. All right. So I think Sarah Mitchell has another question over there.
15% of profit. I guess what I'm hearing is that kind of varies depending upon business conditions and how much profit's actually being made. And I guess you put some judgment into that. You're not locked into something hard.
Sarah, it's above the goal. It's above the goal.
So for example, Sarah, let's say that her goal for the month is easy numbers. Let's say her goal for the month is $100,000. Okay. So if they make $110,000, then it's the $10,000 that is.
It's 15. It would be 15% of the 10,000.
The 10,000
current, yeah.
Yeah, not 15% of the profit. It's 15% of the money, the revenue above the goal, right? Revenue, right, Sarah? All right. So hopefully that is more helpful, Sarah. And I beat up on people a lot about bonuses because people bonus badly all the time and it works against them. This bonus system can work because it has all the pieces in order in the right way. But if you just change even the smallest of things, it can work against you again. It could backfire. Yeah. Bonuses can backfire in a big way.
And I want to say, these aren't huge bonuses. I mean, our Ankeny office has been growing. They've been killing it. Their bonuses have been bigger than we've had. This last 2 quarters have been bigger than we've probably paid out in a long time. Some of that's because I was surprised at the goal that they were able to make. But I will say it's not a huge amount of money. So it is a bonus on top of good pay. And I also think that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially nowadays, we've been talking a lot about that, right? That your base pay for people needs to be a good amount of money. There's also one more thing that Sarah is saying, that do you see how she, one of the things that's really working for her is she's not expecting you to get a bonus every single time. Half the time you're going to get the bonus. What that does is that sets you up in a situation where people are feeling like it is actually a bonus that they're getting, where when they get this bonus every time, supposedly a bonus, then they miss it one time. Now what has happened is it's punitive. It feels like they're being punished. And that's one of the ways that your bonusing can work against you. So that's really, really important piece to why you want to set this up, whatever your percentage is. I like Sarah's percentage, 50%. Awesome. Easy for people to see, right? 4 weeks out of the month, there are 4 weeks in the month, 2 months, 2 weeks, I got the bonus, 2 weeks I didn't. Good. I'm right on par. I'm doing well. 1 week I didn't get a bonus, 3 weeks I did. And I know Sarah might change that goal next. She's going to push a little harder on that. Right. So that just those nice parameters is great. But also where you're not getting the bonus. That's really, really important, you guys. For those of you that feel like you want your people to get it every time, bad thinking. Bad thinking.
Do your cleaning technicians participate in any of this, or is it limited to your leadership team?
Yeah, this is all of our office staff, except for our supply person in one office. Because they all touch and affect an internal client or an external client. Our cleaning staff are only bonusing. They're bonusing on, their reviews and their review score. So that's a monthly bonus. But if you have I found my office staff is so much more, they're so steady compared to our technician population coming and going. And that they are the key to a consistent, being able to have cleaning staff come and go because they're consistent, they're focused. We're all focused on the same thing.
Yeah, focus on the same thing. It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. So what else do you think that people would be really benefited by knowing around the process, Sarah, of goal setting, budgeting? You shared a lot today that I think is really useful for people.
Truly.
I think involving your key office staff, and I know it's been talked about, so I think it's important to get your goals in mind as an owner and then share those goals with maybe your managers, see if there's something you're missing, see if they agree really, because they might have a better idea than if that's reasonable or not reasonable. And then you can talk about why or why not. And then we share that with our office staff all knows the goals. And then Tom, we do tie that into our technicians. So our goal setting kind of flows into an eventual meeting with office staff where we say things like, guess how much we spent last year? And we throw out real numbers and we have a kind of a fun guessing game because it's always surprises people. And then, we want, we're going to say this year, we're a $3 million company this year, for example. We share all of those things in our office staff meeting. And then we share our goals for cleaning staff, I should say. We turn it into house numbers. And so we turn our revenue goal, instead of saying, it's whatever the new revenue goal is, we're going to turn that into how many reoccurring clients we're trying to get and keep, and then parlay that into, your quality, keeping more clients. The ones that we have will help us reach that goal faster than churning and having to get new clients. So we just really use that and spiral that up into something that everybody can focus on. I think bigger picture, and the bigger you get, I think it's really important to remember to loop in your technicians and make sure that they know that you have goals and you're going to celebrate things and where you're going.
So the buy-in is what you're talking about. And when you first started explaining the system, you were talking about you come to the table at that first meeting with your ideas of what you want, but they're not set in stone at that point. They're open right now. This is what I'm coming to the table with, and I'm asking you guys, what do you see? Should they be bigger? Should they be less? Are they too stringent? Can we, what do we need to do? And then my guess is, I know you didn't say this part, but my guess is that you take the feedback and you modify your goals based on the feedback. Sometimes, of course, you're going to get feedback that doesn't make sense for good reasons, but I'm guessing, especially with your staff, you've had for quite a while, that you get feedback that will create more buy-in and get people more motivated, more dedicated when you change up the goals, even if it's just a small amount toward the goal. All right. Diana has a question here. Hey, Diana.
Do we share the revenue goals with the field staff?
We don't, and that's where we turn that revenue goal number into how many houses do we need on a recurring basis. So we give them that. So Ankeny has a goal of Ankeny hit 300 homes on a recurring basis. So their goal next year might be 340. So we're going to talk about it in terms of how many homes that is.
Well, that makes so much more sense because that's what matters to. So we're talking about the same thing over and over again. What matters to the people and what matters to the technicians is how many homes we're cleaning. That's what I know. I know about homes. I don't know about revenue. I don't know how to think about revenue, but I know how to think about homes. And I can see on the chart or on the list or in the Slack channel or whatever, we got another home. We lost another home. We got 4 more. Mrs. Brown, Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Smith, and Mrs. whoever, Stewart.
Okay, no, I don't Slack channel that info, but that would be great.
Well, whatever. However, you present it, whether it's in a meeting or wherever you present it, you're presenting it to them in a way that they're able to see we're meeting the goal, we're not meeting the goal, we're losing ground, we're gaining ground, where they're able to feel themselves as part of what's going on at PH Clean, that it's not happening around them and that they feel like they're part of it, which is, you guys all know, I'm always harping on matter, meaning, measure, and autonomy. This shows them how they individually matter, how there's much bigger meaning in what they're doing, and there's a measure to help us see what that is. And you've got your own autonomy there because you are creating part of it yourself. So, I mean, that's like the best win-win-win-win.
And to Diana's comment, we will say when we reach a milestone, we will put it into perspective for them. So we will say, you're working for $1 million company. There are this many like us. And so we want them to feel that pride. But yes, on an ongoing basis, we're not sharing all our revenue numbers.
Well, we are approaching the top of the hour. Sarah, is there any other last thoughts you'd like to share or anything you'd like to share about, what you're up to or what you're looking forward to?
Yeah.
What you're working on?
If anyone knows about the Conquer Summit, or happens to be going to the Conquer Summit, I'm going there. I'll be there January, I believe it's 4th, but I'll be in Florida for that. And I am a new Conquer coach. So that's what I've spent some time prioritizing and spending some of my time working on learning and growing on a kind of new little track. So that's what I'm up to.
That's fun. So where can people get more information?
There we go. Thank you.
Tom's got it. Good job, Tom.
Automate Growth Cell. Yep, you got it. So, and I know that Brandon came to Vegas, and so some people might have met him and know about the Conquer team that way.
I posted the link in chat. It's go.conquernow.com. And I guess this has, oh my goodness, look at all the folks here. When is this event in Florida?
It's happening, well, I'm going on the 2nd. I believe it's happening on the 4th, and I believe they're sold out and have been. So
of January?
Yes. So if you're not signed up, you're not going. It's less than 2 weeks away, right? So
So there are a couple of maid service coaches specifically, and then I'll be on there later. So I just graduated, and so that's exciting. You'll see Elena and Alonzo is there, and I'm excited to join the team and represent another woman.
Yeah, nice, exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is awesome. This is really good information, Sarah. Thank you for joining us. It's it's an affirmation hearing this coming from somebody who actually implements it and gets the awesome results. I mean, it gives it a lot more credibility, I guess. It's easy to talk about it, but to hear it coming from somebody who's actually doing it is something different.
Yeah.
And year after year doing it too. You're doing it year after year. It's not just a one-time flash in the pan thing.
We all get lucky every once in a while, but if you can do it consistently, you're doing something special.
Absolutely.
So we're pretty much wrapped up for today. I guess we'll be back Wednesday. Yeah, today's Monday, so we'll be back Wednesday. Last one of the year.
Yeah.
Is RJ going to be our guest?
Yeah, RJ's going to wrap up goal setting, budgeting, and put it all with a nice, pretty little bow on it for us.
Well, he's great. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, this was great, Sarah. Really, really helpful for a lot of people. We have a lot of people saying the same thing. It's super great, helpful. Yeah.
So, again, thank you, Sarah. We'll see you guys Wednesday, 5 o'clock Eastern.
Bye, y'all. See you Wednesday.
Thank you.